good morning and very warm welcome to our, I think this is the 47th installment of the close-up, uploads, uploads for the of the Jakarta-Post uploads program. And today we're going to discuss a very important topic. This is going to be G20 energy transition. And and I think this is a very important subject. I think last year, the Indonesian government, I think this is during COP26, President Jokowi made a pledge that Indonesia will phase out coal for electricity by 2056. And I think we are all in agreement that I think climate change is a very serious subject. I think the science has been overwhelmingly clear that we are careening towards a climate disaster. And unless something is done about that, we're going to go into the direction of a climate disaster, as scientists have warned. But unfortunately, I think the latest development with the war in Ukraine, it sort of makes it more difficult for us to sort of achieve this goal of zero emission. And I think now more countries is transitioning away from renewable because of the war and the difficulties in getting oil, especially from Russia. And I think the primary objective of decarbonization and making the energy transition remains priority for the Indonesian government. And in this webinar this morning, we're going to discuss about the path forward for Indonesia and the world. And I think today we're joined by a stellar lineup of speakers. We will have Airlangga Hartarto. Very happy to have Airlangga. Also, we have Ibu Shinta Kamdani, Chair of the G20 Indonesia. We also have Roberto Rossi from Schneider Electric. We also have Jiro-Tominaga from the Asian Development Bank. We also have Kazuki Isikura from Mitsubishi Power Indonesia. We will also have from PLN. Initially, we will have Pak Darmawan, but he could not make it, so there will be a representative from PLN. And before we continue, I'd like to express our thanks to Schneider Electric, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and ExxonMobil Cepu Limited for making this webinar possible. And I think it's very important for us to hear for the first time from Airlangga Hartarto, who will give a keynote speech on the way forward for Indonesia. Please, the time and screen is yours, Pak Airlangga.
The Honorable Ibu Shinta Kamdani, Chair of G20 Indonesia, Pak Darmawan Prasojo, President Director of PLN, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure to be with you this morning. I extend very warm regard to all the participants of this webinar. The global community is approaching a fork in the road of climate change. Growing scientific evidence suggests there may be a diminishing window of opportunity to put the world on a path to safety, and options are made for energy transition. At the same time, the world is currently in perfect storm of food, energy, and finance crisis precipitated by conflict in Ukraine and post-COVID-19 pandemic. As a result, the situation is at risk for destabilizing the global economy and impending both global energy transition effort as well as the social development progress that the world has made. It is important that we recognize the situation we are in, and we need to ensure that we balance our current demand for conventional energy while remaining committed to the energy transition effort. Indonesia is one of the most populous countries, and it is listed as a top-tier potential among the developing countries. With the economic growth, Indonesia has a big demand for energy and fuels its activities. However, the success of energy sector in the past give impact on natural capital. The universal electrification target has become a leading GHG emitter as coal power capacity doubled in just 10 years, emphasizing the increase of emission between 1990 and 2017. This sense of urgency offers backdrop for the Indonesia G20 presidency, where major countries engage in talk. They are likely to shape climate mitigation effort for the generation to come. Setting energy transition as one of the main focus that could be achieved this year by a global deal within the participants of the G20 meetings. Indonesia will use the G20 forum to introduce the country scenario to reach net zero emission, called the National Grand Energy Strategy. It covers a plan to transition from fossil energy to new renewable energy. In COP20, Indonesia made a new climate commitment by setting a net zero emission target by the mid-century. The Grand Strategy Energy National pledged the commitment to create a more ambitious commitment with 100% target of renewable portion in the energy by 2060. Total pledge capacity is around 587 gigawatt. The solar power plants will generate 361 gigawatt, hydropower plant 83 gigawatt, wind farm 39 gigawatt, nuclear power plant 35 gigawatt, bioenergy power plants 37 gigawatt, and geothermal power plants is around 18 gigawatt, and the current ocean power generation is around 13.4 gigawatt. Ladies and gentlemen, demand and potential for renewable energy in Indonesia are soaring. It is expected that the Indonesian energy demand will increase considerably. Data suggests that Indonesia has consistent addition to renewable energy in the overall energy mix. This is surely a positive development in Indonesia shift toward a green energy. Indonesia is in the top 5 countries in Asia Pacific with significant renewable energy potential. However, research suggests transition will require a big number of investment per year. To encourage this, Indonesia will play a significant role in applying innovative green and sustainable financing while ensuring the right route of the investment, taking into account also preparing innovative schemes in terms of carbon pricing, including market and non-market mechanism. Renewable energy will create jobs for millions of them. These indirect advantages will also include empowering technology transfer and reduction of dependency on imports of petroleum products and coal. This flourishing boom is expected to be contributed by solar panel production and electric vehicle manufacturing. In the long run, ensuring just and fair transition will bring justice to the cost and benefit, then ensuring that people is able to access with the affordable price. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia will play an important role to answer the global challenge with the 3 pillars of energy transition in G20 presidency, that is consisting of accessibility, technology, and financing. Indonesia will exercise its leadership to explore more cooperative strategy and put the major developed and developing countries in one consensus. Indonesia G20 also focus on mainstreaming the energy transition with relevant working group and engagement group across the activities of G20 presidency. Indonesia is also in the forefront of the Global Crisis Response Group, in which United Nations Secretary General has appointed Indonesian President as one of the champions alongside with Bangladesh, Barbados, Denmark, Germany, and Senegal. To overcome the risk of energy price volatility and the phasing out of energy transition, Indonesia plans to land a proposal for global deal at the G20 Bali Leaders Summit. Next year, 2022, ASEAN presidency will be led by Indonesia. So this is show the importance of leadership, and together with co-chair of UN Global Crisis Response Group, alongside with other countries, especially to address the current and future energy solution. On the pandemic issue, shift into transition to endemic, also the right momentum and opportunity to take a strategic decision with the moment that Indonesia will take a central position as well as orchestrating the transition. I hope the discussion will be fruitful and look forward for the beneficial means for understanding best practice in the green energy technology, not only limited to potential partnership and financing. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Airlangga. I think it's very reassuring to hear from Pak Airlangga, a very senior minister in charge of the G20 summit in Bali, that we have a plan to sort of put in the work to decarbonize Indonesia, and I think we have a concrete plan. I think the government of President Jokowi has started to put in the work to help Indonesia reach the target. And I think Indonesian leadership at G20 will sort of be the coordinating forum for Indonesia and other countries in the world to sort of reach the target. Again, thank you so much, Pak Airlangga. Before I continue, I'd like to welcome Pak Edwin Nugraha Putra. He's already here with us. He's the Executive Vice President of Electricity System Planning for PLN. He's going to be replacing Pak Darmawan this morning. I'd like to continue with our second keynote speech from Ibu Shinta Kamdani, a very well-known figure in Indonesian business. She is the owner and CEO of Sintesa Group and has been involved in numerous groups, including Kadin Indonesia, the Indonesian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. He's also with the APindo, the Indonesian Employers Association. She's also a member of APEC Business Advisory Council and the president of Indonesian Business Council for Sustainable Development. I think Ibu Sinta's speech will be very important for us to sort of see the perspective of the business community and how their take on the energy transition. Ibu Sinta, please take it away.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, young professionals, entrepreneurs, researchers, and international community, good morning. I'm honored to be invited to this Road to G20 series on energy transition towards zero-emission partnerships. I'm deeply humbled to be speaking as the representative of Kadin Indonesia and the chair of B20 Indonesia, sharing my thoughts on energy transition from business perspective. I remembered in Glasgow last year at the COP26, a right direction and plan for our economy has been made when Indonesia government committed to achieving net zero economy by 2060 and phasing out coal-fired power plant by 2040 with international assistance. The positive move by government has encouraged more businesses to transform its operation to be more sustainable and greener since then. Indonesia amended National Determined Contribution or NDC, which was submitted to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change on July 2021, includes equitable emission reduction targets and a stronger connection between the country's climate and development goals. With its updated NDC submission, the world's largest archipelago country now commits to raising its greenhouse gas emission target to 29% unconditionally and 41% with international support by 2030. We are glad with the progress and positive steps made by the Indonesian government by far. Challenges are inevitable, and there has been a lot of discussion about that already. For instance, regarding our current energy situation, which is still very much fossil fuel dominated, the retirement of coal power plants simultaneous with building new and renewable energy plants will certainly cost a lot, and in order to navigate this, a solid energy transition mechanism plan is required. And more importantly, ensuring the availability of affordable financing for all parties who wants to contribute to the energy transition. Despite the fact that there are several obstacles to the transition, including access to clean energy, funding and technology support, Indonesia must form more collaboration to facilitate access to affordable energy services, create technological innovations, and establishing fund breakthrough by formulating a consistent and effective long-term strategy. And this is where partnership plays a significant role. The responsibility of achieving Indonesia's ambitious climate goal is indeed impossible to be handled solely by the government. A variety of climate solutions like anti-deforestation, circular economy, and energy transition require active involvement of business or private sectors. Government may have political tools through policy output and national climate regulation, while businesses have rooms for innovation and financial resources. Speaking of financing, there is a significant role of collaboration between the private sector as well as the government and the financial institution in increasing and accelerating the implementation of low-carbon energy system by improving both policies and regulation to create a climate that is conducive to investment. The current annual investment in clean energy is approximately $9 billion between 2015 and 2030. It is expected to grow to $16 billion as the demands for energy continue to soar. Meeting with global CEO across countries has allowed me to see a continued and growing interest from private sector in renewable energy that will positively contribute to Indonesia energy transition. This is why, as the host of the G20 presidency in 2022, Indonesia has the opportunity to build a stronger international movement in transitioning towards a sustainable energy future. I'm very pleased to see how Indonesia raised energy transition as one of the 3 priority issues in the presidency this year. The focus on energy transition particularly reflects Indonesia perspective, both as a developing country that's heavily impacted by climate change, as well as a potential driver for a greener world. The big question now is that, to what extent can the B20 Indonesia under G20 umbrella help Indonesia to achieve its energy transition goals? So far, there are at least 6 ways to work on it. B20 Indonesia put a strong emphasis on energy security, which is measured by the capacity to meet current and future energy demand, and also to withstand and bounce back swiftly from system shock with minimal disruption to supply. During COVID-19 pandemic, about $311 billion of G20 government response is spent to serve the cost of fossil fuel producing and consuming activities. This also includes subsidies and supply saving. This was more costly than the budget allocated to finance clean energy, which estimated around $144 billion. According to the International Institute for Sustainable Development, B20 Indonesia pushed for the acceleration to sustainable energy use and fossil-free recovery by G20 government. We drive practical solution from developing market supply chain and technology for alternative energy and to mandating a minimum proportion of renewable energy-based infrastructure development in G20 countries. We understand that energy transition is not an easy and short process, yet it has to be conducted in just an orderly manner. B20 Indonesia is currently developing the policy recommendation to mitigate financial impact and address loss of livelihood during the energy transition. We should not let anybody feel harmed by this transition, including the skilled fossil fuel sector employees. B20 Indonesia are working to prepare inputs for G20 governments to anticipate and match labor market and skill needs toward energy transition and green growth. Hence, the transition should also consider the different capability, needs, and domestic situation. B20 Indonesia is also highly concerned on the lack of access to basic energy services that drives persistent poverty and gender inequality. We will promote some recommendation to enhance access, affordability and end-use technology, adoption of clean energy, not only for large businesses but also for household and MSME. Fourth, Indonesia from its investment ministry just recently offered 47 projects worth over 155 trillion rupiah or $11 billion in green projects across archipelago, including some big renewable energy plants. The ministry is planning to promote this project throughout the year during the G20 presidency, specifically at the side events. B20 as the group that involves more than 2,000 leading businesses and investors in the community from across the globe are present as the potential partners to bring technology and capital in and eventually supporting the government plans on renewable energy investment. Fifth, B20 Indonesia endorsed an innovative reform in multiple aspects of energy transition. Although there are some positive development, continuous reform need to be encouraged to improve the investment climate for renewable energy, from reducing tariff or pricing barriers, provide financial incentive for renewable energy projects, tax incentive, enable PPP collaboration in energy, research and development, promoting affordable renewable energy products, as well as set standards for energy efficiency. And sixth, lastly, we don't want to see B20 Indonesia as a one-stop event and nothing tangible resulted from the meeting. With this recent development in mind, Indonesia stands ready to be a net carbon exporter and host potential carbon credit buyers from global markets. In addition, B20 Indonesia is developing a legacy called Global Center of Carbon Market Excellence. The center is designed to provide up-to-date global regulatory landscape related to carbon market for all B20 countries to support businesses who are navigating their carbon market option. It will also become a hub to share and learn about decarbonization and carbon market, which will be helpful in solidifying cooperation between advanced countries and developing states. In conclusion, as business community, we are not only aiming to create goals, but also progress and concrete benefits from Indonesia's B20 presidency. From my previous explanation, there is no single point feasible without partnership and collaboration. I am inviting all of you to take part. Let's work together to push for bold action from the G20 government this year to achieve the global target in energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Shinta. I think Bu Shinta brought up a very important issues that as a business community on the receiving end of some of the policies that the government craft, I think it's very important to take into consideration about the concerns from business, that there will be impacts, consequences, and day-to-day on the day-to-day operation of companies and firms targeted by some of the policies in the decarbonization effort. And I think that will be some of the key points that we will discuss in the sort of the main session today with our four panelists. And for this session, first, and this is not going, I don't want to put you on the spot, Edwin. This is simply the rundown of the event that you will speak first. And I think it's very fitting that we have PLN and Edwin from PLN speak first in this event, because I think from Bu Shinta's presentation, I think PLN is sort of the perfect vehicle to talk about decarbonization, because PLN sort of sits on the borderline between the government and private sector. And I think considering the fact that I think 60% of our electricity, and this is mostly generated by PLN, comes from coal, I think it's very important, very crucial for us to hear from Edwin about the path forward for PLN, some of the things that they plan or they have done to sort of reach and implement some of the targets outlined by the government for the energy transition issue. With that, I want to invite Pak Edwin Nugraha Putra, Executive Vice President, Electricity System Planning of PLN. Please, Pak Edwin, the time and screen is yours.
Thank you, Pak Taufik Rahman. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to say thank you for Jakarta-Post to invite PLN speak in this seminar, G20 Energy Transitions Towards Zero Emissions Partnerships. Allow me, Pak Taufik, ladies and gentlemen, to share my screens. Can you see my screen, Pak?
Yes, Pak. It's good.
Okay. Thank you, Pak. Okay. So from the organizer, there are 4 topics, Pak. They actually Jakarta-Post asking us to discuss in this very good moment. First, we would like to see the carbon neutral 2060. I will show to the audience about the conditions of emissions sectors in 2060. So we are starting right now in 2020, 2060. There are two sectors that very important contributing the emissions from the power sectors, which is coming from transportations and power. We're starting in 2020 in power. It is the electricity emitted 0.24 billion tons of CO2 emission per year, while in transportation 0.28 billions of CO2 emission per year. In total, there will be 1.55 emissions from the power sectors, the emissions. Well, in business as usual, we can project it in 2060 that the power will become 4 times what we have right now. So it will become 0.92, while in transportation become 0.86, and in total from 1.06 it will become 2.44. So this is the condition in business as usual. So in order to make the zero emission in 2060, so during the COP26 in Glasgow last year, our CEO already announced to the world that PLN committed in zero emissions by 2060. So this is the things that PLN will do. So this is the 4 pillars that PLN will do in order to achieve net zero emission by 2060. First, in pillar number A, in short term, in 10 years, PLN will do what already put in RPTL. So PLN will introduce renewable energy to the systems, and we also do the desalination. The desalination is that in a remote area, the islands, because Indonesia a lot of islands, the islands that remotely from the huge systems, the big system, we will change the diesel over there with solar and battery. By doing that, we hope that we can change the emissions over there, as well as change the system to the green energy over there. The things that we will get over there, that the price of solar and battery will be less than diesel. So there's a requirement. So maybe we will use battery over there only for 4 hours or 8 hours, and then the amount of the battery will increase when the price will be lower. So that we hope that by next 10 years, all the diesel will be shut down and replacing by using solar and battery. That's what we call it, the desalination programs. We also do the coal plant retirement. In our PTL, we have 1,000 megawatts of coal power plant, the old power plant that will be retirement. We also use the biomass co-firing for all of our PLN fleet in coal power plant. So it will get at least 2.7 gigawatts, the same of units that using biomass, which will be equal to 3 to 6% of renewable energy in 2025. We do also the energy efficiency, grid loss improvement, and we change the solar to gas expansion, and we use the clean coal technology by replacing the subcritical units with ultra supercritical. So this is the things that we will do at the first step, pillar A. In the pillar B, in 2031 until 60, we introduce more renewable energy to the system. We introduce hydrogen, CCS, and we also do additional coal plant retirement, especially the subcritical one. And in the column number C, we introduce a new technology that support our demand, and as well the technology that will reduce the emissions. So we will introduce induction stove, electrical vehicle, rooftop, energy as a service, REC, and emission trading. So and the last one, we build a new internal capability to support the pillar A, B, and C. By doing this, we in PLN calculated that there will be $500 billion needed to make this dream, this net zero emissions come to reality. So this is the thing, the cost will be around $35 to $40 per tons of CO2 mitigations in 2060. So PLN cannot do this alone. That's why we also need partnership in doing this one. So what happened then if we do this? This is what happened. So in 2060, as in my previous slide, as business as usual, PLN will get 0.92 billion ton of CO2 per year. But by doing what I have already explained, that we hope that the emission of electrical power will come to zero. So we're starting in 2020 right now, 62% of our energy coming from coal, only 14%, 13 something coming from renewable energy, and 20% coming from gas. Every 10 years it will be changed. For example, in 2030, the end of RPLTL right now, the amount of renewable energy will come to 25 to 27. The coal will go down to 60. In next 20 years, 2040, the amount of coal will be reduced significantly to 16. The gas will become to 35%, and then the most of the things that come to the system is renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind that coming to the system that will occupy almost 50% of the system. Then it will grow until 66% in 2060, and we're still using the coal, but the technology we will introduce by using the CCS, which is comprised of 26% of the systems. And the last thing that we have is the gas. Yeah, we still have 8% of gas, and also possible we use the CCS in that system. So by doing this, we hope the coal will reduce for 62 to 26% by using CCS, and then the gas will go from 20% to 8%, also possible by using CCS. But the renewable energy will jump from 14% to 66% in 2060. So this is what PLN do. For doing this, there are several things that needed to be unlocked. First, the price of electricity will increase around 3.3 cents a kilowatt hours. So right now around 10, it will become 13 or 14 cents kilo per watt hours. We also need a lot of capital outlay, around 500 billions. We need, of course, partnership with private and government, of course, to do this. We need also to introduce new technology to the systems, hydrogen, CCS, BESS, battery energy systems, and nuclear as well. And also we need to get the transportation law by introduce the electric vehicle, so that we need policy to support that. So this is the thing that we will do in order to get 2060 emissions to becoming zero. So number 2, we will discuss about carbon trading strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2021, PLN already success doing the pilot carbon emissions trading involving 26 of PLN coal power plants. So the goal stated by MEMR, the CO emissions, MEMR put the CO emission cap for units that bigger than 400, the emission not more than 0.918. Between 140 and not more than 1.013 tons CO2 per megawatt hours, and for less than 100, sorry, this is less than 100, the emission not more than 1.094 tons per CO2 per megawatt hours. So this is the condition we try in August. This is the scheme that allow offset of the emission between parties, between coal power plant, and also, if possible, the excess we will use and to get a payment for the ton CO2, which will cost $2. This system already verified by international standard by using VCS, and also verified by MEMR in PPA or in emission reduction bookkeeping, already noted over there. So this is the things that we will do in 2021. What will happen in 2022? From April to December, there will be trading period. Yeah, so let's say the company number A, the total emission in the blue one, the allowed emission in yellow. So there will be deficit. Yeah. So in order to overcome the deficit, the company A will do buying another surplus from another company, such as company A, or buying another green energy from renewable energy that possible in the system, yeah, from solar, from geothermal, or in next April there will be taxations, yeah. So it is possible also the company A to pay tax in order to handle the deficit of emission that emitted by company A. So this is the condition that will be happen in 2020 and 2023. So this is also aligned with the PLN transformation, yeah, because we will need to do the innovations. So also a lot of transformation like digital power plant that we have, also the beyond KWH that PLN right now doing in order to solution for the customer to get the carbon credit and to mitigate the climate change. And of course, this agenda will be a sustainability for PLN responding to energy trilemma challenges.
Sorry to interrupt, Pak Edwin. You have 2 minutes left.
Oh, 2 minutes. Okay, Pak. Okay.
2 more minutes. Sorry about that.
Okay, 2 more minutes. Okay, Pak. Maybe we will discuss only about early coal retirement, Pak. In order to have zero emissions, we also introduce what we call it ETMPA, energy transition mechanism. So by doing this, it is possible that some of shortlisted CFPP, our coal power plant, will be retired, Pak, in order to reduce the emissions. Yeah, this is the conditions. But in order to do that, PLN possible to decrease 400 metric ton CO2 emissions. Yeah, but we need low cost funding because some of our units, like now in take or pay payments method. By doing this, of course, also PLN needs to open the renewable energy, new renewable energy coming to the system, because we retired some of our coal power plants. So this is the things that we will do in ETM. There are some opportunity, of course, by doing that. Yeah, we need a low cost fund. We also the support from the government of Indonesia and need new job creation, because we are transferring between coal power plant to renewable energy. And of course, this also will be opportunity in PLN to doing a lot of things, especially using the supercritical and ultra supercritical. Yeah, and also introduce the another things to depress the CO2 emissions, and also early retirement of CSPP can increase the demand for clean energy investment, because we need also to change. Because we need the energy when we retire the unit, then there must be a new unit coming to the system. So that's the thing, Pak, that we will discuss more about renewable energy development, especially about what will happen. We can read it in RPTL. This is the thing that we will do for the next 10 years. Maybe that's the presentation that I give, Pak Taufik Rahman. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Edwin. And I think from Pak Edwin's presentation, again, it's very reassuring for us to hear that there are plans in place to sort of wean ourselves away from, in this case, coal, because 60% of the power generation in Indonesia is brought in by coal. And I think one key point from Pak Edwin is that PLN will need a lot of assistance to do this. He mentioned something around $500 billion to do this. And I think it's going to be interesting to hear what Pak Jiro Tominagar from ADB, because they have plan in place for this. But before we go to Pak Jiro, and this is I think this is a perfect segue to from the side of the power generation, we will hear from Pak Roberto Rossi from Schneider Electric. He's now currently the cluster president for Indonesia and Timor-Leste since last year, 2021. Very interesting. Previously, he held the position of Power System Vice President for South American Zone. He's responsible for leading Schneider Electric in Indonesia as a digital partner for the government and industrial players by providing digital solution in energy management and automation for efficiency and sustainability. Under his leadership, several iconic projects have won that position the company as one of the market's reference. But before we go to Pak Roberto Rossi, I'd like to remind our audience to, if you have questions for the panelists, just use the chat box features in your Zoom screen, and please name the speaker to whom you address the questions. And some of the presentation, or all of the presentation, will be distributed after this session is over. So without further ado, I would like to give the time and floor for Pak Roberto Rossi. Please, Pak.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for the invitation. Really happy to be here with you all. It's an honor, in fact, to be here with you. Let me share my screen to go through the presentation, and please let me know if you can see it properly.
Yes, it's there. It's good, Pak.
So, you did a great opening of the subject, and later we went through a comprehensive analysis from PLN. So now I will try to humbly show what we are doing from Schneider, right? So for us, sustainability is in everything we do. And I will try to show you what we are doing in our factories, in our facilities, as well as what we are doing for our customer, right? So first, I would like to show what is our purpose, what we are looking for, what is about Schneider, globally speaking, right? Our purpose is to empower all to make the most of our energy and resources to bridging process for everyone, right? Sustainability for all. So we in Schneider say that this is life is on. So our mission is to be our digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. And having said that, let's talk about the core of the subject, right? So more than 80% of the CO2 emissions are coming from either energy or consumption. And despite of this, and on top of this, 60% of this is lost or waste in the transmission, in the generation, or in the consumption. And even though in these last 2 years, the good part of the pandemic issue was a reduction in the CO2 emissions, somehow we are exiting from there, and we should expect a rebound in the emissions without any kind of structural changes that put us in the right trajectory. So for us, sustainability in Schneider is on top of everything we do. We have been in 2021 the most sustainable company in the world, and now we are among the top 5. And this is because we are acting in our premises. By example, we are doing a lot of commitment in our premises and in our operations, as well as we are supporting our customers moving forward on their commitment toward net zero. Just to show what I am talking about, we are putting focus now in the Scope 1 and the Scope 2 emissions for Schneider. We already committed, worldwide speaking, to become by 2025 carbon neutral with offset, and by 2030 net zero That means no offset required. But it's not only this, because as you can see, we are looking at our scope 3, either in our customers or in our suppliers, and we are jumping into this game to decarbonize our supply chain. We expect to be carbon neutral, including all our supply chain by 2040, and by 2050, it should be net zero without offset. So pretty aligned with the PLN journey. Is quite challenging, but we are really committed. And it's not only this milestone. We have a comprehensive KPI set to define the evolution quarter over quarter. So how we are doing that, and how, because we already did part of the journey, and what we think we can do it is because already the technology exists. Later is a matter of focus, long-term vision, right policies, financial scheme, etc. But the technology is already ready for us. And we call this electricity 4.0. That is, we are shifting from centralized generation to decentralized generation. We are putting digital everywhere. We are using products that today are simple for circular economy. We are not jumping anymore into complex products in our solutions. And for sure, there are a lot of type of applications where we can decarbonize our operation. So we think that the way to move forward is a different world, a world which is more electric and more digital. More electric because it's the only way to decarbonize by shifting fossil fuels into electricity, is the way that later allow us to work in energy consumption reduction as well as clean generation. This is the only way to decarbonize. There are other technologies, as stated, but the faster way for us in the next 10 years, the technology that already exists is this, and we think that we can accelerate there. And this is bringing a world of opportunity, right? Starting by the grid of the future, where you will see a huge transformation since generation, transportation, and distribution. But not only there, because part of the equation is also to control our consumption, right? It doesn't matter how much you generate if you keep consuming what you cannot generate. So you have here some axes that we are putting focus, because at the end, if we want to reach the net zero, we all need to contribute. It's not only PLN, it's not only Pertamina, it's not only some remarkable companies, but everyone, right? Starting by the homes, going through buildings, data center, industrial part, and infrastructure. And I want to share with you some user cases, because the future is not the future. In fact, the future is here. Talking about the power and grid companies, right? PLN and all the companies worldwide speaking, we have, as per today, a meaningful suitcase of solution to secure all the digitization of the electricity generation, as well as the transportation and distribution, smart meterings, geolocalization, advanced distribution management system. So at the end, we have the technology to master all the new electricity network that for sure will put us under pressure, since you will have generation everywhere. You can have generation in your home, you can have batteries, etc., and you can inject energy here and there in the network, producing serious challenges in the balancing of the flows. And all these technologies will help to this shift. But it's not only the generation and the distribution, but also the key user of the electricity. And today we talk a lot about digitization, and this is mean more data center. That is why we need to look at this segment very carefully, and we need to support them to be more sustainable, efficient, and resilient. And we have plenty of solutions to work on this domain. A lot of them are already implemented here in Indonesia and in other countries. As stated, is another key player here is the transportation, right? So where big shift is needed from fossil fuel to electricity. But it's not only that, it's all about operational efficiency. So in every vertical of this domain, we can also contribute to our customers. So this is an unusual suspect, right? The efficiency in the industrial part. We are very proud of being recognized by the World Economic Forum as our factory in Bataan as a smart factory, since our innovation is, in fact, is not only a proud for us, but for a lot of incumbents, is a proud for Schneider, and is a proud for Indonesia. So moving forward, also quite remarkable solution for houses again, where we have chargers that are easy to install, ready to use, and that can support us in this transformation. The next 10 years, you will see a big shift there, and you will have one of these in every home, right? So this is something that we need to put toward the people to be used very fast. And it's not only what we are offering to our customers, it's what we are doing in our premises. This is our factory in Cikarang, where we already generated 22% of our energy through solar panels. And in parallel, as another initiative, we are from Schneider Electric Energy Asia. We are investing in one local company, which is Surya, to support them to grow. Surya develop renewable energy around solar panels toward the Indonesian market. So we are working in our premises, we are working with our customer, but we are also investing in local companies to grow. And this is only possible if we have the right people, right? If we don't have the people, we cannot do it. That is why we are working with the Ministry of Education to secure in vocational school that everyone will have the right training around automation, energy management, and green generation. We already signed a contract that it was for 5 years, and we are still working on that with remarkable result. On top of that, as I said, we have in our smart factory in Bataan a lot of models and examples. So we normally bring customer there to learn more about Industry 4.0. So in parallel, we think that this awareness, it should be also in the new generation, right? So we are maybe the first generation that acknowledge this problem and the first generation that can solve it, I do hope. But what about the new generation, right? That is why Schneider has another program to connect with the new professionals coming from the universities by a global competition around green energy. They present to us quite remarkable and innovative solution how to shift the future to a greener place, and we assess them with remarkable result. We later present them in the region and at global level, and we have several cases in which the Indonesian team has won the award. So as a closing, as stated in the previous by the previous speakers, this is something that we need to do together, right? Government, companies, private companies, public players, association, technology domain. So everyone needs to contribute. That is why we think that we can be your partner for sustainability and efficiency, driving digitization with you, with our partner network. So I do hope we can do it together. We will see an impressive future already in the next 5 years, where we need to accelerate. Let's face it. 2030 milestone is maybe the most important one. Is where we expect to show that we can do it. So I expect to be with you together working on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Pa Roberto. I think that's very Schneider efficiency. I think you're right on time. And I think one key takeaway from Pa Roberto is that I think that, and this is also to follow up on what PLN earlier said about the technology. I think the technology is already there, and that's also reassuring that we have the wherewithal to sort of start to do decarbonizing effort in this country. And again, this is going to be a collaboration of all parties involved. And it's very nice batik, Pak Roberto. Very happy that the dress code today is batik.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we have to move on to our next speaker, and I think I have mentioned earlier about the link between ADB and PLN. We recently heard the news, we read in the news that ADB has a big plan in helping some of countries in Asia to sort of start phasing out coal power plant. And I think we can hear more from Pak Jiro Tominaga. Tominaga-san is the Asian Development Bank's country director for Indonesia, responsible for ADB's country strategy and operation in Indonesia. Prior to this appointment, he was ADB's director of strategy, policy, and business process. He has over 25 years of experience in development finance and has worked at the Overseas Economic Cooperation Fund of Japan and the Japanese Ministry of Finance and the World Bank. And I think Tominaga-san will be the right person to talk about this issue. Please, Pa Tominaga, the screen and the time is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, it's okay. The slides are already there. First of all, thank you very much to the Jakarta-Post for inviting me to this prestigious webinar series among the distinguished panelists. It has become apparent, as the speakers before me have already mentioned several times, that climate change is an urgent challenge for the global community to tackle together. And Asia has special responsibility in this effort. Currently, Asia and the Pacific is responsible for over 50% of global greenhouse gas emission. Progress in Asia is a key determinant of whether we can overcome this global challenge or not. As a development institution operating in Asia, tackling climate change is at the highest priority for our operations. So given that more than 70% of global greenhouse gas emission is from energy production, transformation, and consumption, today's topic, energy transition, is absolutely the key in our effort. So global discussion on energy transition have picked up momentum in recent years. Many experts have shared their ideas with a lot of passion, which is excellent. Indonesia is contributing substantially to maintain and develop this lively policy discussion by placing energy transition as one of the 3 priority areas of G20 this year. We very, very much appreciate that effort. In terms of appropriate policy actions, a lot has already been discussed in various arenas. To me, the bottom line seems to be that the challenge is hugely complicated and it requires a comprehensive approach. In particular, I want to highlight the 4 key areas. First, we need to increase investment in clean energy and reduce dependency on fossil fuel, particularly coal. To achieve this, countries should set ambitious targets for clean energy investments in which renewable energy generation would be the major part. Public investment should be designed to align with medium to long-term energy transition pathway for the country. In the economic policy side, various policy levers to incentivize consumptions and investments for energy transition, such as carbon tax and carbon trade mechanism, need to be introduced. Of critical importance is the measures to facilitate private investments into clean energy field, given that we need to rely on the bulk of financing to come from the private sector. And we also need to develop and implement a long-term plan and mechanisms to retire coal-fired power plants, which I will come to this later. Second area is to take measures to foster innovation to accelerate the transition. Supporting research and development in relevant technologies like generation and storage would be vital. I would also like to emphasize the importance of supporting demonstration of innovative approach and generating a positive cycle of replication of proven technologies in the country. Third is to ensure that the transition is both just and affordable. It is critical that we take account of social and economic impact of transition to different segments of populations. Government policies should accommodate the need to address loss of employment in certain sectors and geographical areas and associated social impacts. Developing a medium to long-term roadmap for just and affordable transition would also be critical to generate broad-based consensus. Finally, acutely recognizing that we are tackling an enormous global challenge, it is vital that we forge collaboration that involves stakeholders across countries worldwide. In this framework, expanding support from developed and better resourced countries to those which lack them is also a critical piece. Now, focusing more on the first point about investment in renewable energy, good news is that renewable energy deployment is increasing globally. This has a lot to do with the sharp fall in renewable energy costs, driven by steadily improving technologies, growing economies of scale, more competitive supply chains, improving developer experience, and strong government commitment. As you can see from the first chart on the left, over the last 11 years, renewable power generation capacity worldwide increased 2.5-fold from around 1,200 gigawatts in 2010 to over 3,000 gigawatts in 2021. As indicated in the second chart on the right, utility-scale solar and wind power show a significant decline in the levelized cost of energy, and the reduction in the cost of solar energy was most drastic. Now, turning attention to Indonesia, the country has an ambitious target for renewable energy, and this is good. However, the general sense is that Indonesia has not yet fully captured the global wave of renewable energy and development and deployment. Our general sense is on the development. It can accelerate the transformation towards clean energy supplies and revive the progress on fossil fuel subsidy reform and clean energy deployment. It can also increase the pace of renewable energy power capacity installation to achieve the target of 23% of renewable energy share by 2025. Opportunities for enhancements may be in the energy sector governance, planning, and the policy and regulatory framework. An enabling regulatory environment that incentivizes renewable energy expansion is vital. In the electricity sector, tariff mechanisms and price signals that are conducive to the long-term viability of the energy sector are important. Also, a bankable pricing environment to support increased renewable energy deployment is key for the energy transition. Now let me turn to ADB's work in climate change and the energy transition in particular. At the corporate level, we have recently raised our ambition level of climate financing from $80 billion to $100 billion cumulatively for 2019 to 2030. We're committed to have at least 75% of ADB's operations will be supporting climate change by 2030, and we will align all our operations with the goals of the Paris Agreement. In Indonesia, policy reforms and sector-wide investment programs are at the core of ADB support in energy transition, working closely with PLN, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Ministry of State-owned Enterprises, and Ministry of Finance, among others. The volume of financing since 2012 from ADB has exceeded $3 billion. I should also mention that we are working closely with bilateral and multilateral development partners in this effort. The major platform of our policy dialogue and reform support is the policy-based lending called Sustainable and Inclusive Energy Program Series. It supports the key challenges outlined earlier in my presentation, which is reforming energy governance and the financial viability of the sector, increasing private sector investment, and accelerating the deployment of clean and sustainable energy solutions. On the investment side, we support project finance for solar, wind, and geothermal, including through a non-sovereign private sector financing window. Grid strengthening and extension are a key part of our support in Indonesia, as investments in these areas are critical for reducing greenhouse gas emission. We support eliminating the reliance on diesel generators, LPG, and other decentralized fossil energy solutions in some parts of the country, and help ensure the readiness of the grid to integrate higher levels of renewable energy. Now, I would like to talk about the energy transition mechanism, or ETM, that has appeared in earlier presenters' conversation as well. The ETM is a new, scalable, and collaborative initiative developed in partnership with developing member countries, most prominently Indonesia. We're piloting this approach in Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam at the later stage as part of our comprehensive support for energy transition that I mentioned earlier. Energy transition means a shift in the share of energy sources from those that emit greenhouse gas to those that do not. We can achieve it through an increase in renewable energy generation capacity and increased energy efficiency. But this can be accelerated by reducing the fossil fuel source generation as well. In a nutshell, the ETM is a mechanism to support the transition from coal to clean energy by leveraging concessional financing to make this transition bankable and crowding in private sector financing. Investments from governments, multilateral banks, private sector investors, philanthropies, and long-term investors will be mobilized to provide low-cost capital to incentivize the retirement of coal power assets earlier than the current schedule, as well as to expand renewable energy generation capacity. There will also be financing for associated needs for enabling infrastructure, such as grids and storage, to provide clean energy, and very importantly, spending to address socio-economic impacts. All these are to ensure that this is a just transition and environment and social impacts are addressed adequately. So how does the ETM work? The specific mechanism is yet to be determined, but generally it consists of two areas. First, we are supporting our counterparts in Indonesia and elsewhere to develop a medium to long-term plan that aim to retire various types of coal-fired power plants in phases and support its implementation. This plan has to make sure that Indonesia has adequate and reliable capacity to meet the energy needs in the country, even if these coal-fired power plants are retired. So it's important that expansion of renewable generation capacity takes place on a parallel track. To do that, we need an enabling policy and regulatory framework, and we are committed to continue supporting Indonesia in this area. Second is financing. We are working to establish an ETM partnership trust fund in ADB, which will receive and pool donor funding. The trust fund will provide concessional financing for various ETM transaction modalities that may include individual transaction or a transaction for a pool of assets. The funds can be combined with financing from sources outside of the trust fund as well. The trust fund will also provide support for technical assistance. Separately, we can provide loans to the government from ADB or entities like PLN for specific investment programs related to energy transition. As often in the case of our loans, this can also attract co-financing from development partners to scale up the support. So finally, on the link with G20, as we have seen, it's a complex challenge. It is not possible for any one financing mechanism or one institution to solve the enormous challenge we're facing. There was also a mention of $500 billion, which is an enormous amount of money, and that is only for Indonesia. EDM can certainly be one of the potential solutions that is worth pursuing, in our view. Depending on pilot results, similar mechanism may be replicated widely across countries. With support and endorsement from G20 countries, it can be an important part of the global collaboration framework for energy transition. G20's ability to develop consensus and make collective effort have a special role to play here, and there's a significance of the role of the presidency in this process. However, we recognize ETM is not the only way to achieve energy transition. Of critical importance is the enabling environment for renewable energy investment. For that, countries across the world need to make a serious effort to implement policy and regulatory reforms to make energy transition bankable. G20 can provide momentum to this discussion, and ADB will continue to support the reform efforts in Asia and the Pacific, including, of course, in Indonesia. Now, I would like to end my remark by noting that this is an opportunity for Indonesia to lead the path towards energy transition. Indonesia can do so by swift and effective actions for energy transition and advancing the complementary policy measures. Showing the path for many more to follow would be Indonesia's contribution to the global fight against the climate change, and it will be a shining legacy of Indonesian G20 presidency. Thank you very much for your attention. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much, Pak Jiro. I think that's a very comprehensive account of some of the plan that ADB has put in place for countries in Asia and especially for Indonesia. And again, ADB has had a long footprint in the country, and it will likely continue to do good in the region and Indonesia. And I think one of the key points was that there's a plan to phase out coal power plant, for instance, but there are also ways to sort of ease the transition and aid and help Indonesia to sort of cushion some of the blow that will come from that transition. Because again, as some of the speakers mentioned earlier, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be a massive undertaking. I want to continue with our next discussion, but I have a quick correction. If the questions for the question addressed to some of the speakers or all the speakers, please use the Q&A chat box instead of the chat box. This is the message from the organizer. I want to move on to our last speaker, last but not least. And again, this is going to be a very important and very interesting subject. This will be a presentation from Pak Kazuki Ishikura, the President Director of PT Mitsubishi Power Indonesia. Ishikura-san is the President Director of Mitsubishi Power Indonesia, responsible for sales and maintenance of installed power generation units and support for energy projects in Indonesia. He is committed to helping Indonesia in its decarbonization journey and meeting the needs of customers, vendors, and communities that depend on the electricity that Mitsubishi Power helps deliver. It's going to be a very important subject, and please, Pak Kazuki Ishikura, the screen and time is yours.
Hi, can you see my screen?
Yes, it's
Okay.
a little bit too small, but yeah, it's good.
Good. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good morning, His Excellency Bapak Airlangga, Coordinating Minister for the Economic Affairs, Ibu Shinta, and Pak Taufik, Pak Edwin, and Mr. Robert, and Tominaga-san, the fellow distinguished government and industry audiences. Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, apa kabar? My name is Kazuki Shikura, and I am the President Director of PT Mitsubishi Power Indonesia, which is a power solution brand of Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, also known as MHI. I am really impressed by all keynote speech and presentation from great speakers, and I would like to add a little bit more from the technology and science and to challenge this globally most important issue, climate change and decarbonization. Saya senang bisa bertemu dengan Anda pada kesempatan ini. Let's go next page. Sharing a quick background of MHI. We are a global leader delivering the solutions across industry, including energy, transportation, industry, and more. These are represented by offices across Indonesia, supporting various functions. Go next page. In the power generation industry, we have a total supply capacity of 18 gigawatt. It approximately 30% of total installed capacity in Indonesia. And we have a strong local roots as we have supported Indonesia's development for the past 50 years. And we committed to help enable sustainable growth for Indonesia. For many years, we have been involved in supporting the adoption of the renewable as part of Indonesia's energy mix. Geothermal energy is a stable zero-emission power generation, and Indonesia has an abundance of the geothermal energy, which is a valuable resource. Our footprint includes a major geothermal power plants, such as Daraja and Kamdani. We are committed to supporting the role of the geothermal in Indonesia's energy transition. Go next page. Now I'd like to share about MHI's overall mission net zero commitments. We aim to achieve net zero CO2 emissions from business operation and our entire value chain by 2040. This 2040 target comes ahead of the most countries' 2050 or 2060 net zero targets, and we aim to support these with our advanced decarbonization technologies. And we are building an innovative solution ecosystem to realize our goals with three key focus areas. Firstly, please see the left side green box. This is a decarbonizing existing infrastructure. Secondly, please see the center blue box. This is building a hydrogen solutions ecosystem. And lastly, right side, orange box. This shows a building a CO2 solutions ecosystem. I would like to explain these three concepts by more specific idea from next page. To support this strategy, I'll share more about specific technology and solution. And go next page. A phased approach is needed to achieve net zero while ensuring stable and affordable power. Our solutions include, firstly, please see left side green box, decarbonizing existing infrastructure. So modernizing existing facility with advanced gas turbine and upgrade to improve the efficiency and reduce carbon emission. By 20% ammonia fuel or biomass fuel into boilers, we can reduce 20% of CO2. And as a next, as a technology of building a CO2 solution ecosystem, which shown by orange, we also support the carbon capture, utilization, and storage solution that can capture 90% or more of carbon emissions. And the next is a blue box, and the most impacted item. This is building a hydrogen solution ecosystem. Technology to fire hydrogen and ammonia fuel while addressing challenges around the cost, transportation, and storage. By these innovative approaches, we would like to create zero CO2 society together with our customer. Go next page. We can upgrade the existing power plant to lower emissions, as I explained. As an example of this is one of the gas turbine upgrade works for Senoko Energy in Singapore, which have enabled reduction of 15,000 tons of carbon emissions annually. We can apply this solution to power plant in Indonesia also, and we have already installed 9 units of these gas turbines in the country. Carbon capture, this is the right side, can also be applied to existing. MHI is a world leader with 70% market share in carbon capture plants from flue gas. In Japan, MHI will demonstrate CO2 separation, capture, and utilization equipment at the waste-to-energy plant. MHI already has a technology for a compact CO2 capture system, which can also be applied to various industrial facilities. Go next page. And natural gas emits about 50 to 60% less CO2 when combusted compared with the coal plants. It is also a feasible transition fuel to adapt as we explore zero carbon fuel like hydrogen. In Indonesia, we completed the installation of the Muara Karang power plant with 500 megawatt capacity. This power plant uses our gas turbine, which is the most efficient in the country. Globally, we produce the J series gas turbine, which have the world's highest efficiency of more than 64% and almost 100% reliability. This will be a big contribution to reduce CO2. And right side, partnership and collaboration are important to encourage adoption of natural gas. MHI is a founding member of the Asia Natural Gas and Energy Association, which works with the government to promote the use of the gas. Go next page. We are working towards using zero carbon fuels like hydrogen and ammonia. We have validated 30% hydrogen co-firing in heavy-duty gas turbine and are developing gas power system can utilize 100% hydrogen by 2025. And for ammonia is also an important solution for decarbonization in Asia, and new firing technology will be available soon. Go next page. We are committing to future that utilizing hydrogen. We have one of the good example to explain our commitment today. This slide shows a project structure of Intermountain Power Project in the US. This is the Utah States. At first, this project gather renewable energy from this state and will be converted to green hydrogen by our electrolyzer technology. And next step, this produced green hydrogen is stored in salt natural carbon. This is a natural underground storage. Then, if renewable power cannot be powered such as nighttime or rainy season or no wind season, these storage hydrogen will be delivered from this carbon to our JAC gas turbine to provide a stable power supply. This is a quite unique and revolutionary project that can be replicated for further power plants globally. We would like to bring this project concept like this to Indonesia also. And these are many more opportunities to decarbonize in the future, and I would like to share some other efforts we are excited to champion. So next page. Working with partners is very important to making an impact to advance new technologies. Here in Indonesia, we are collaborating with government and academia to promote the use of cleaner energy. We signed an MOU with Bandung Technology Institute, ITB, to conduct joint research on next generation clean energy technologies. These include the technologies that utilize biomass, geothermal, ammonia, and hydrogen. This will lay the foundation for the joint R&D center and help Indonesia achieve its net zero goals. And we also presented a policy proposal to the government of Indonesia to promote the adoption of biomass. Biomass co-firing is one of the optional short-term to help realize the nation's net zero target. The proposal integrates our technologies with PLN Group experience and research by the ITB. It elaborates on initiatives required and challenges that need to be addressed to promote adoption of this well. We are also exploring the potential of blue ammonia in Indonesia through MHI. Our technologies can capture 85 to 95% CO2 from ammonia plants. Go next page. This is also important to carbonize the transportation sector, which accounts for the nearly a quarter of the global carbon emissions. In Japan, we are developing a commercial scale supply chain for a biomass-based sustainable aviation fuel. We are calling SAF. The SAF produce was used on a Japan airline commercial flight on June 17 last year. We are excited by the prospect of this and look forward to deploying this solution in the region. We are also investing our carbonized future through R&D project. In Japan, we established Takasago Hydrogen Park to help realize a hydrogen society. This is the world's first center for validation of hydrogen-related technologies, from production, storage to power generation. It will enhance the product reliability and accelerate commercialization of technologies. We look forward to sharing learning of this project for Indonesia and the region. In the last 2 years, we have experienced a challenge due to the COVID-19. Now that borders are opening, so if you have a chance to travel to Japan, we would like to extend the open invitation for you to come visit this advanced technology facility, Takasago Hydrogen Park. Please go next page. So as a conclusion, we have gained a deep understanding of Indonesia's energy and decarbonization needs with over 50 years of experience here. Today, I spoke about the way we can apply global technical innovation to help address these needs. We are committed to listening and working together with government, our valued partners. We want to continue to take part in important dialogues at platforms like B20 to build and strengthen stakeholder relationships and create opportunity for deeper decarbonization. Okay, so bersama dengan kami MHI berkomitmen untuk membuat Indonesia yang lebih hijau dan ramah lingkungan. Kami sangat terbuka untuk diskusi dan kolaborasi bersama dengan Anda setiap saat. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih, Pak Gasugi. Thank you so much for the detailed presentation. I think your presentation is a perfect follow-up of what Pak Jiro from ADB mentioned earlier about the cushioning from some of the big efforts that you will take? Because I think some of the solution that you offer is sort of a in-between technology of how to transition from fossil fuel to sort of a greener form of energy. Again, it's a great presentation. And after this, we're going to have a Q&A session. I have a number of questions already, but I think we're going to take a very brief break to sort of give us time to collect some of the questions, and we will come back in another 30 seconds, sorry. Okay, welcome back to our G20 Energy Transition Jakarta-Post Up Close seminar this morning. I think from all the presentation from Pak Airlangga to Pak Kazuki, I think we have a sort of comprehensive picture from the grand strategy down to some of the nitty-gritty aspect about how to do energy transition, and I think it's quite enlightening that we have been able to learn from some of the speakers about the path forward, some of the things that we have to do and we will have to do for the next decade or so. And in this question and answer session, we have collected a number of questions. This is a significant number of questions. I'm going to ask based on to whom this question is directed, and I'm going to direct the first question for PLN, Pak Edwin. The first question for PLN is that PLN has an oversupply issue due to many unfavorable power purchase agreement, PPA, with coal power station, resulting in a reserve capacity of between 40 to 60% over the next 10 years. So PLN doesn't need a clean energy for 10 years. How can this situation be turned around? This is directed to Pak Edwin. Please, Pak Edwin, if you can respond to that.
Okay, Pak. Well, to overcome the oversupply, first, PLN need to support to get 23% of renewable energy by 2025. The things that PLN will do that, first, PLN will do the co-firing operations of our coal power plant, Pak. So by doing that, we hope that we will get 3 to 6% of renewable energy mix in the system, Pak. So that's the first thing that we will do. The second one, that we also introduce the new solar, but it is not in the main island. We put it in the remote area. So we change the diesel over there with solar or battery. The things that we have in mind, that the cost of solar and battery not more than the cost of diesel over there. So we hope maybe the first time it will be, say, 4 hours battery, but next we will go up to 8, 12, and 24 hours if the price of battery going cheaper, something like that. And the other things that we will do, is that we also retired our very old coal power plant, around 1,000 gigawatts. And we also introduced the ETM, ETM Energy Transition Mechanism programs that allow the fresh fund coming to Indonesia and retire the old coal power plant. And by doing that, we can also possible to handle the TOP system, in PPA. This is the things that we will do for the next 10 years, Taufik.
Okay, thank you, Pak Edwin. I have a couple more questions for you, but I think I will give you a little bit of a break time. The second, I will come back to you with some more questions. I think the second question, this is for Pak Jiro Tominaga from ADB. are there any other plans for ADB to invest in grid strengthening and extension, beside in electricity grid development program in Kalimantan, Maluku, Papua, and sustainable and reliable energy access program in Western and Central Java after 2022? And if there are any, how much the investment would be? This is addressed to Pak Jiro Tominaga. Please, Pak Jiro.
Thank you very much for the question. I think the work on the grid strengthening, etc., has been we have been having a very sustained dialogue, particularly with PLN on investment program, etc. We are continuing a dialogue in this area. That is also, part of the comprehensive conversation that we are having with the government and PLN. So if there's any specific investment program, we have just gotten approval of the Western and Central Java program, and it was just got signed actually last week. So after that, yes, we are continuing the discussion, but I wouldn't, not necessarily, I don't have the particular program that I can talk about in detail at the moment right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Jiro. The third question is for Pak Kazuki Ishikura from Mitsubishi. How is Mitsubishi Power forming partnerships to drive decarbonization in Indonesia?
Okay, thank you for the question. Your question is forming the partnership to drive the decarbonization in Indonesia. Okay. Of course, that we are a technology company and we would like to bring that our technology, but most important is to work closely with local partners to Indonesia's goals. So far, we have more than 50 years experience here, and fortunately, we have a lot of friends in Indonesia, PLN, Indonesia Power, PAJB, and IPPs. So that's relationship and the network is most important. And one example, we have signed an MOU with the Bandung Technology Institute to collaborate and making a joint R&D center together. And we are now discussing the biomass, geothermal, ammonia, hydrogen together with this ITP. And this is not only for activity, industry, and academia. We are collaborating with ESTM, and we are collaborating the PLN groups. So this will be very widely expanded, this activity. So I believe, but this all based on the good network and a good relationship with between Japan and between Mitsubishi and Indonesia. So I believe that the most important thing is a relationship in a local relationship with their partners. And of course, through this B20, G20, we'd like to increase and continue to discuss this energy transition. And today that Shinta-san also joined, and we also have a very good discussion with Shinta Group also for our future. So not our future, for Indonesian future. So I want to continue a lot of discussion with the Indonesian partner. That is some drive for the decarbonization.
Okay, thank you, Pak. The next question is actually for Schneider Electric and Mitsubishi, but I want to go first to Pak Roberto Rossi from Schneider. This goes to Schneider and Mitsubishi Electric. I would like to hear the opinion from the panelists, Schneider Electric and Mitsubishi Indonesia, about the future of geothermal energy, including those of low enthalpy type for direct uses and co-generation.
The potential in the country is quite remarkable, right? We are one of the few with a strong potential there. I guess that so far the exploration are cautious because we need to secure that it's safe, right, for everyone and for the rest of the operation. The technology is somehow ready, but anyway, we see other technologies like solar moving faster than this implementation. This is what I can share, the way in which we see the future. We see that other energies we think will grow faster than geothermal.
Okay, Pak Kazuki, for the same questions.
Yeah, I believe that same as Robert, so geothermal is one of the most important renewable. And as I explained in my presentation, we had I don't know, Indonesia. I'm already belong to Indonesia. So Indonesia has abundant resources for the geothermal. So I believe this trend and the momentum to expand geothermal is one of the important. So is it the right answer, or you need to know more detail?
Oh yeah. I think so far is so good. Thank you, Pa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pa. I want to sort of circle back to PLN because we still have an addition some question for Pa Edwin. This is for PLN, Pa Edwin. I have seen these questions a lot in our webinar. This is sort of a reconfirmation. A question for PLN. How can PLN be part of the energy transition while limiting the rooftop solar installed capacity to between 10 to 15% of a building connection level? Probably there's some changes in policy, Pa, regarding this question.
Thank you, Pa Taufik. Well, this is very hard questions, Pa. PLN actually support the solar, Pa. Yeah, support the solar. But we know that the solar is the willingness of the customer, Pa, to support green energy, Pa. Yeah, they are by doing that, it means that they only actually use the solar for themselves, Pa. But not to sell to PLN. The things will become complicated if they sell the solar to PLN, Pa. They sell the solar rooftop di PLN for 1,500 rupiah right now, but PLN can do right now in bidding, Pa, to get the solar only 600 or something like that, Pa. So it's very hard for PLN actually. If the customer need to sell the solar to PLN 1,500, 115 rupiah, Pa. So that is the thing. If the government support, it means that the government need to raise up the subsidies and compensations. That's not the thing that actually the government will agree, Pa. That's the things. So yes, we need to discuss more about that, Pa. PLN doesn't only put a restriction of 15%, 10%, but we need to see the condition of the system, Pa. The oversupply conditions. Right now, PLN in oversupply conditions, and we have to also buy the solar energy that coming from customer with a very high price. It will make the price of electricity will be very high, Ma. At the end, whether the customer, the people of Indonesia will pay higher price of electricity, or the government will need to pay more subsidies, Pa. Either end, I don't think that it will make us happy, Pa, for that. So maybe that's the conditions, Pa Taufik.
Okay, it's a difficult conundrum for PLN. But there's another follow-up question, Pa, and this is also regarding the solar. And I think this is the last for you, Pa Edwin. The question is, what are the considerations for PLN to choose solar PV as an alternative energy? Considering the statement from Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources stating that it would be very selective in developing green energy. In addition, there are cost and technology constraints experienced by Indonesia. Yeah, that is the question, Pak.
Yeah, well, Pak Taufik, by the end of 2060, all the possibility of renewable energy we put in the system, Pak. So not only solar, Pak, not only solar, but hydro, geothermal, we put it in first place, and then we cover up with solar, Pak. So we put geothermal, hydro to the system first, and then if we still need more renewable energy, then it will come from wind and solar, Pak. That's the thing that we will do, Pak.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Pak Edwin. I think we have last questions, and this is for Pak Rossi, Pak Roberto Rossi. According to Schneider's experience in other countries, what are the three main steps or phases that Indonesia has to go through in its energy transition, Pak?
Thank you for the question. What I saw, globally speaking, everything starts with crystal clear, meaningful regulations, right? These give a sense of direction and predictability, right? So you can understand where the country is going without hesitation. So first, a strong regulation, and this regulation shouldn't be static. They can say the next 5 years will be like this, the second will be like this, because at the end we are talking about a transition, as explained by Edwin. Somehow you cannot shift from one day to other, but in the long run, it's good to clarify to where the country is going. This is the first. The second is to secure the money, right? So that is why we have Shiro here, right? So somehow we need to secure that whatever we will implement will be affordable, but also we can develop and we will have the money and the fundings to make it happen. And finally, and as relevant as the other two, to define the right pool of partners to make it happen. You need to have a partnership for education, you need to have partnership for technologies, you need to have a partnership to secure not only all the solution will be covered in the main cities, but also all the island. So at the end, this is also about the capabilities to connect the ecosystem to drive the energy transition everywhere in the country.
Thank you so much for the response. I think all the questions from audience has been responded by the speakers, and also I think that the time has come for us to wrap up this session. Thank you so much for the excellent speakers to spend the time to join us this morning. And I think we have had a very fruitful discussion. Again, I want to repeat my earlier assessment that we have a major grant policy from the government, and then we have some of the detailed explanation on how the implementation and how to achieve energy transition. And now I think it's up to the government and the private sector to sort of follow up on this. Some of the policy recommendation, I think we can rest assured that we have a plan in place to sort of reach the energy transition plan for the future. In closing, I want to again express our thanks to Schneider Electric, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and ExxonMobil Cepu Limited for making this event possible. And also, we want to thank our partners at the American Chamber and Swiss Chamber for helping us promote today's event. After this, we will have a photo session, so please bear with me a little bit. For all the presentation from the speaker will be available. We will distribute a QR code after this, and you can download the report, the presentation from the link. I think the camera person is ready for our photo session. I think we are all here. Is it good? You can put on your best smile, if you please. Okay, I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Pak Edwin is taking off his mask. So one more, yeah? Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you all the panelists, and thank you all the audience who have spent your precious time to join us this morning. I think we have had a fruitful and very productive discussion. And in closing, thank you so much. And we will meet in our next series of the Jakarta-Post webinar. Have a great day and stay healthy, everyone. Thank you.